All right, thank you everybody for tuning in to my channel. Today the topic will be how to do private money lending. It's going to be just a very high overview, quick video. It is late at night, as you can see. Doing these videos after I put my kids to bed. Yeah, so basically private money lending is a very unique strategy. It allows you to lend and have it be kind of like very passive. You do have to do some work ahead. Make sure that you underwrite the property that you are investing in. And underwrite is just a fancy word saying that you're evaluating and really just checking the numbers to make sure that the investment is an appropriate investment, right? So there's a lot of different things that you can do. You can lend to a fix and flipper. You can lend for longer term. But it's a very nice strategy, especially if you have a full-time job and you just want to have passive money coming in without you doing actual work. And there are different positions. So like, for example, if you buy a house, you are and you're getting a mortgage, that bank that's lending you that money with that mortgage is in first position. So if something happens and you don't pay, they can foreclose on you and take, the property back, basically, right? If you're in second position, that means that you are behind the first position loan. And that's a little bit more risky, right? Because the first lien or the first position has to be repaid first. And if there's any money left, that's when the second position or third position and so on gets paid, right? So generally you do need, when you're lending, there's different types of securities, they call it, which is like what makes the transaction a legitimate and safer transaction. There is always a risk, so please do your due diligence with reviewing who it is, who the borrower is, their track record. Make sure that you're checking their referrals, their the people that they've worked with, and definitely do your due diligence in doing the underwriting portion. Really checking Zillow, pulling up the property, comparing it to recently sold properties in the area, like in the same vicinity. And I'll probably do another video on underwriting a loan. But it's definitely a very, very important step. Make sure that you are lending to a property that does have enough equity, right? So you basically need, for security, you need different documents. There's a lot of different documents that you can have, but generally in order for you to foreclose, you need a promissory note and a mortgage. In other states, depending where you are, a mortgage is also known as deed of trust or security deed, okay? So you need a promissory note and a mortgage or deed of trust in order to foreclose if something goes, not so good. And you always want to, unfortunately, your mind has to go there when you're doing lending because you never know what could happen. So you always want to prepare for the worst. And, but hopefully, with the due diligence and, the trust that you have in the borrower, you can avoid certain situations. So after you've vetted the property, you've done your underwriting or evaluation of the property, and you've done an evaluation on the borrower, and you have your promissory note and your mortgage, the other thing that you have to also think about is the foreclosure laws in that area. Okay, so if you are lending locally, become very, very familiar with your local area, what kind of foreclosure laws are in that specific area. So like, how long does it take? How much does a foreclosure attorney cost? All of those things. You have to be very ready to go and have an attorney like on speed dial before it, you know, you need it. You need to have that kind of figured out. If you're lending remotely, like if you're lending in other states, you want to make sure you still know that too. Okay, so please do your due diligence. Super important to know how long it takes. Some states could be 2-3 months. Other states could take a year or longer. So, and obviously that really is important, because think about it. Like if you're charging interest, you know, that needs to be part of your evaluation, right? Like if you need to foreclose, you need to figure out, okay, how much am I lending, plus all the interest, plus the attorney fees, all of that. And that's kind of how you know a safe amount to loan. So apart from knowing the foreclosure laws in the state that you're looking to lend, a kind of rule of thumb is figure out what the ARV is, and then you kind of, you know, multiply that by 70%. And after you do that, don't just go by ARV, guys. Like that is really, really important. Never lend on ARV. You always want to do an as is value. So the way you do that is generally 70% and minus repairs. Okay, so whatever repair it needs, you know, subtract that amount, and that's how you know what is the safe number to lend money on. Okay, so if you're not in the state, if you're lending somewhere else, you want to definitely get someone to go visit, like an inspector. And then after you get your inspection report, you want to run that by maybe a few quotes, you know, getting a contractor to get, you know, a few of them to go out to the property and give you 2 to 3 quotes to see, you know, and probably go with the highest amount just to be safe. So those are some of the things that you have to consider when you are lending. The safe amount would be, again, 70% of the ARV, and ARV is the after rehab value, minus the repairs that it needs. Okay, so for example, if you have a $100,000 property, you multiply that by 70%, that gives you $70,000. And then let's say it costs $10,000 to do the repairs. That would be $60,000. And then the last step that you cannot forget is, what does it cost to foreclose in that area? So let's say it costs another, you know, $5,000 to $6,000 for attorney fees, and then you charge, you know, $1,000 or $2,000 in interest for late payment. Then that's $7,000. So that puts you at $53,000. So you see how wide that is of a gap from the initial $100,000 property. So that would be an example of a safe amount. So I believe that is all I have. If you liked the video, please let me know in the comments, and I can definitely do additional videos on how to do more specific underwriting videos. So thank you for tuning in. All right.